Go away. I love you, but you annoy me.
Hey, everybody. This is Mark from Enlightened Souls Paranormal. We've got the great Alicia McFadden, and we got Tammy up there, and we got our special guest, Mr. Mike Hatcher, with us tonight.
Howdy.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mike, for joining us. Seriously, it's
Always
an honor
fun
to have you on our show.
Yeah.
Close. It's always fun. I like being on new shows and meeting new people.
Yeah, so do we. It's so amazing meeting other people and like hearing about where they've been and like what kind of experiences they've had and stuff. If we can't go to, you know, where they're at, where they're from. So how did you get started into the paranormal field?
Just getting into it. Wow. I, like a lot of other people, Ghost Adventures was actually getting big around the time I started. And I got into it. At first, I wanted to do residential cases. I wanted to do real estate. And, that's kind of a hard one to really get into. But that's what I wanted. I wanted to, you watch all these movies and these shows about people that spend their life savings on this gorgeous house and they're stuck with something dark or something dirty and they can't leave. They're stuck with it. So I wanted to start out doing stuff like that. And I put it on the side for a while because I'm also, 20-year musician. So I kept sticking with music while doing, some residential cases in between. And one day I was just like, you know what? I really want to get back into paranormal. And I was hit up by a good friend of mine, John Ward, who's actually local, and joined his team. And I've been on it. That must be the daughter.
Monsters there.
No, it's either the daughter or the wife. I don't know. But the other door's closed, so that was weird. But yeah, and then we got into the documentary style of filming and investigating, and I fell in love with the filmmaking, and now that's what I enjoy doing on that side as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on Paraflix right now, and your team is called Beyond the Dimensions, right? For everyone who's watching.
It was, but unfortunately, we're no longer a team, and I had to take everything down. But I have my own podcast coming out soon. It's actually a vodcast, interviewing and, having fun talking. But yeah, I'll be putting that out on Paraflix shortly. There are some other episodes that I do make appearances in. So if anybody's watching and you have Paraflix, check out Paranormal Puzzle. I'm in those. And the very first documentary that my first team put out is on Paraflix. It's Dead Republic, Sleepless, and Salamanca. Went up to Wildwood Sanitarium for that one. And I have something secret I'm working on I can't talk about yet.
That's awesome. I just seen that you traveled with Natalie Jones too. That must have been, it looked like you guys had a really good time.
That's not the first time I've traveled with her. She's a trip every time we get together. I love her to death. I'll actually see her again next weekend. So
Nice.
So you said you always wanted to get into residentials investigations. Our team did. We did one yesterday that was quite fantastic.
Nice.
We actually had to bring in a shaman from the Quad Cities because I had personally been in the basement with my team, and we closed a portal in a bathroom down the basement. And when I walked out of the door into like the main room, there was a growl. I would compare it to that of a grizzly bear.
Oh, geez.
And I just went, "Oh, you're one of those, huh?" And I just moved on, And then a couple days later, the kid's dad, this young couple just bought this house. And the kid's dad went downstairs to look at the electrical box, and he heard a loud hiss, like something at him. So we went there with the shaman, and we ended up closing 4 portals in total. There's still 2 outside the house, but he's going to leave those for them to use. But
Yeah,
then we ended up doing a complete cleansing of the house.
right. I just did one of those not too long ago myself.
And I had a blast taking a metal spoon to a pan and bang, 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 just making all that.
I heard you making beats with it, Mark. It was funny.
Yeah, I was trying. I was going for that. You know, I forget the song now, but yeah, I was going for that. That there was the one song that I had in mind, but Barb just couldn't keep a good beat with her mallet. You know, she'd be on beat, then she'd go on the off beat. You know. So you say you've been in music for 20 years?
Off and on, yes.
That's awesome. As you can see, I've got my keyboard here, my guitar behind me.
Nice.
What you can't see is my new Elisa's Pro Strike electric drum set off here to my left.
Hi,
So
Sean.
I play everything. I'm lead vocalist for Decade of Decadence. Check us out on Facebook if you want to. Music's in my blood, same as paranormal investigating is. It's just I love it.
Oh, absolutely. I love learning as much as I can.
The only thing is when I do paranormal investigating, I don't go out on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people. You
have to do that on Facebook Live?
The shows?
No, my cat cleaning himself.
Oh. Hey.
You got no shame?
Limber.
That's funny.
I guess it's a guy thing.
It's kind of like the feline version of Barb.
Oh my goodness.
She's going to hate me for this.
So did you ever have any experiences, paranormal experiences then growing up at all that kind of sparked it even more? Your interest?
What I had my first experience, I was probably about 3 or 4 years old. And I really don't tell that one too often, but and the only reason I don't really tell it is because I know a lot of people, they'll talk about their most profound experience, and everybody wants to hear dark. Everybody wants to hear about your darkest experience. Mine was actually not long before, but a couple years before I got into investigating. I know you read my post on Facebook about, my stepdad passing away, and today would have been his birthday.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that.
It happens. But he passed away of a drug overdose. I was just getting ready to turn 21. And, he passed away, and I didn't live at home, but the last 8 years of his life, like, we did not get along. We were at each other's throats. And one of the last times I had seen him before he passed away, my mom and I were kind of mending our relationship, and he wasn't staying at the house, but he kind of came over and threatened me, so I ended up calling the police. He got arrested. And I want to say it was about a week later, he passed away.
Oh.
So as a young kid, there's so much running through your mind. Like, did he love me? Are we going to be okay? What's going to happen? Those kind of like young adult questions.
Yeah.
And I told my mom after he passed away, like, I was coming and going. I was kind of helping her around the house, and I refused to stay the night. I was like, I'm not staying here. So for my 21st birthday, my mom took me to a concert for my birthday. And it was Def Leppard and Journey. I will forever love that.
Awesome.
So it was the first night I had stayed at my mom's house after my dad passed away. And I'm falling asleep in the family room. And next thing you know, I'm looking at myself sleeping. So I walk in through the door into the kitchen, and I turn from the kitchen into the dining room. And all I see is just my dad standing there, glow a light around him. And he looks at me, just gives me a hug, says he loves me. Everything's going to be okay. And then I woke up.
So you were in the astral.
Yeah. That got me. I started studying dreams at first, getting into dream interpretations. And then I moved to Pittsburgh, found the party side of me, and stopped doing everything. So,
we all have to go through that, right?
right. And then I moved home, and that's when I really started dabbling a lot more into the paranormal. It was about 2011, 2012.
And you have, like you said, you love learning things. I believe
I
I
do.
watched you on a podcast a while back, and you were talking about pareidolia and scrying and a bunch of other things. And I see you post pictures sometimes of you sitting in that chair, I believe, in your haunted room and doing the Estes method, like pushing yourself. And I think that's amazing.
I know what you're talking about. I was actually what I'm learning to do is I don't only just do like strictly paranormal. Like I'm learning shadow work. I'm learning a little bit of psychology. And
shadow work is more difficult than people realize.
And it all falls into the paranormal too.
It does. And shadow work is probably the most dangerous thing anybody could ever do.
But it is necessary.
It really is, but it can throw you for a spiral if you're not ready for certain things.
Yeah.
Like the truth is
the dark night of the soul.
Yes, you have to be honest with yourself if you want to do shadow work. So one of the things I've been training myself is I know a lot of people do the Estes method or sensory deprivations, which is you listen to the white noise, you get rid of your senses. I'm actually learning to heighten my hearing sense. So you cover up your eyes, get rid of one sense to focus on another. So that's what that picture was for. I was just sitting out here for 15, 20 minutes, just listening to the room.
That's a really good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of times we forget to be still and just listen.
Right. Yeah, you got to, it's about letting the house talk. Because everybody, I am a firm believer that everybody has that gift to actually hear. Then if you can train your ears, you're going to get it.
But we have to quiet our minds first.
Yep.
Not only that, we have to clear it as well in order to focus.
Yep.
And so for me, it's gotten a lot better on all my senses. Doing more investigations and stuff. Do you feel that as well?
What was that?
Do you feel like doing more and more with the paranormal, it has helped heighten your senses as well?
There's actually been a lot of things that have heightened my senses lately, and it's not even just doing that. I know a lot of you have probably seen my posts about, I haven't had popping going on 3 months. I've slowed down on drinking. The slowing down on drinking alone will heighten your senses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I do believe lately has heightened me a lot. But at the same time, I'm studying demonology. So you're told to believe that all ghosts are demons. So now I'm like, sometimes I'll come out here and I go, are you guys really even here?
But yeah, not all ghosts are demons. And it's so serious.
Definitely not.
We're all spirits. We're all spirits.
Right. And
we are spirits living a human experience.
Right. Like there's so much that I try and study, but my ADD is so bad. I never, now I'm trying to read more into the third dimension, fourth dimension, understanding string theory. And I'm like, I've never done any of this. Like, I'm not a physics science person.
So, okay, somebody just asked, what is shadowing? Shadowing is working through the darkness that we all have inside of us and admitting the darkness that we have in us. A lot of times
it can be anything.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways I can describe it is if you believe that your soul is just energy, and our bodies are just a vessel for our soul, you learn that your soul travels. It constantly travels and travels and travels and learns and learns and learns. But as you're learning, your shadow grows based upon So, for instance, when you're a child, like take a male for instance, us men are made to believe that we're not allowed to cry, we're not allowed to have emotions. So what that does is that negativity builds in your shadow. Everything that you learn in a past life, even past lives of your ancestors, like your parents, your grandparents, that forms your shadow.
Yes.
And one of the biggest references I will use, and I will constantly use, because this actually changed my wife's perception on shadow work. There's probably going to be a lot of people that are going to debate me on this one, but if you actually think about it and you agree with your soul traveling and your shadow growing, majority of the population can look at you blue in the face and tell you they're not racist, but they may not be. In this life, they probably are not. But if your grandparents were and your parents were, there is that slight soul DNA in your shadow that says you are racist. So until you come to terms with that and admit, like, hey, maybe I am, that's how you kind of, work on your shadow. It's those small things that nobody wants to ever admit.
Well, and then if you want to get biblical about it, it's about the Bible talks about the generational curses.
Those as well, yes.
Working that out as well. Yeah, it's learning that we all have darkness in us and just creating a balance.
Yeah, it's pretty much why we have it's the greatest analogy is it's like the basement of your house. You put stuff down there because you don't want to look at it. You don't want anybody to see it. It's dark. It's dirty.
You just want to forget about it.
But the more that you ignore it, the more of an impact
it just builds.
It has.
And builds. Yep.
Mr. Brandon Crody gave a shout out, Mike.
I saw that. Hi, Brandon. Long time no talk.
I will be right back. I'm going to mute and stop my cam, but I will be
friend,
right back.
My friend Mike Gomes says bulaga.
Beluga.
Is that a Filipino term? Mike's married to a Filipino.
I'm not.
They got all kinds of things in the Philippines, dude. They got Manananggal. Yep, he said, yep. What's it mean, Mike?
What is it?
Bulaga. I don't know. He just says, I says, is that Filipino? He said, yep.
I don't know anything that's Filipino.
So they have a one creature there. It's called a Manananggal.
Okay.
It means boo.
Bulaga.
So I guess when they jump out, bulaga. So they got Manananggals. I can't remember the other one. It's kind of like the Aswan. It's called the Azwan. So the Aswan is a creature that literally separates its body at the waist, and the top portion of the body flies around.
Oh wow!
And it preys on pregnant women. So what it does, it somehow comes into the home.
Don't get pregnant, ladies.
And it has like a very sharp tongue, and it pierces the belly button, and it goes in and drinks all of the amniotic fluid away from the baby and kills the baby. That's their belief.
Well then.
Okay, you gotta go.
That would be a shadow thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely not terrifying.
So I asked him, I said, riddle me this. They go, what? I says, if you see the legs standing up in the timber or the forest, they go, yeah. I says, how do you kill an Aswan? And they says, you just take salt and you put salt on the legs, and then the body cannot reattach and it'll die.
Sounds like a snail.
It's kind of like the vampire thing, it's, only the traditional vampires, they turn into a whole bat and take off life.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you research cryptids or anything like that as well?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm not like huge into Bigfoot or UFO or. I mean, I believe they exist, yes, but I don't.
Yeah. What else? So what else have you researched getting into the paranormal field to kind of help you out, what you thought that you needed to learn?
Really, anything about the greatest thing to learn is anything about yourself. That's really gonna get you
Yes.
advanced a little bit more. It's
Really, almost anything you get into, knowing about yourself is a good thing to know.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. Like even one of the reasons I enjoy doing it, like shadow work, understanding egos, triggers, empaths, and everything, is you start seeing the real side of other people as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You stop and you notice the things about yourself that you're like, okay, well, I need to slow this down, or I need to focus on this and change this. So that's really where I'm at right now, is focusing on myself.
I feel like if we're not growing, then if we're stagnant, then something's not right.
I feel it's also once you understand your life path and you start to kind of get on track there, then things are lining up right.
And we can't
Understanding
help
past
others,
lives had a lot to do with that too.
Mm-hmm.
and we can't help other spirits or people, individuals that call us in if we can't help ourselves.
Right.
So we kind of had an investigation recently that had scrying involved. I know that you practice scrying too. Can you talk about what scrying is and how you go about doing it and stuff?
Scrying it's just like looking into a crystal ball. Trying to see images, pictures, shapes. So there's so many different ways you can do it. When I get into it, you got to clear your mind, stay grounded. You can open a portal on the mirror if you want to, or keep it closed, whichever you prefer. But it's the same as any device. Set your intentions, talk about what you want to see, what you want it to show you, and really just stare into it and see what you get. Look, you got to look past yourself. You got to keep an open mind. Definitely remember what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting different candles while scrying could give you a different outcome. The one thing I tell everybody is, if you scry, literally clear your mind, because the scrying mirror doesn't care about what you want for dinner the next day, because that's what's on your mind. Like, you have to have your mind clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar. We've been exploring the Akashic records with the group.
The what?
The Akashic records.
Okay.
I'm planning another session with everybody soon, but it's interesting to see the similarities and we don't understand that the people that are in our lives now have been in our lives before.
I believe that.
Yeah.
It's very
Alex has had a very intense experience
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Oh yeah. Well, we were in it.
One of his spirit guides is the Mother Mary.
Yeah, there's that too. And not only that, I also managed to learn I was George Washington.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I'm sure there's other past lives too I don't know about yet.
Oh, sure.
I don't even know any of mine.
Oh, it's interesting to get into that. I highly recommend it.
Tammy
I've
can help
considered
you
it.
with that.
Mm-hmm.
I've considered it.
She'd definitely be
You
a
have
good
to be
guy.
ready. You have to be ready, because you will find out some karmic past.
Yeah, but I also understand that, and have learned that your spirit guides aren't going to show you what you're not ready to see yet.
Yes. No, they're not.
If you're emotionally ready to see something, they'll show it to you. But if you're not, they won't. So I think I've come to terms with, I'd like to.
One of my pets, my arm was on fire.
Yeah, his arm was on fire. I
Oh,
smelled
wow.
the fire.
I find
Yeah,
it interesting that
Had to get out. Going along, it's like, okay then.
That was my fingers you were smelling, Tammy. I'm trying to light that sage and stuff.
But it's interesting. Yeah. Mark was getting ready to say something very interesting.
I just find it interesting that Tammy's husband and I both had the same experience. We got sucked into vortexes.
Mhm.
And if you ever watch Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Adventure, when the phone booth is going through these wormholes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I saw.
Yeah,
And-
Nick described it at first as like he had jumped into a tornado. I'm like, yeah, you're in a vortex.
Yeah. It was almost like going down a big water slide.
So where was this at?
This was in the Akashic records.
This is in the Akashic records, so
Okay.
During
What was
meditation in the
fun-
Akashic records.
When my arm was on fire, he was going through the vortex. So, in a sense, Tammy said to both of us, just take a breath if you're feeling anxiety.
Yeah, I'm like, whoever's feeling anxiety, let it go.
Worked out.
it was different.
Yeah.
That does sound
We need to go
interesting.
back in. We need to go a little bit further in.
Yep.
I can agree to that.
So besides the video editing and stuff that you do, you also have now started My Catcher designs as well, correct?
Yeah. That's just from doing music. I learned to make logos and really just design work, and I've always kept doing it. I self-taught, taught myself how to do all of that, and I just love it.
It's
Mhm.
awesome. It's awesome work,
Nice.
dude. And if anybody in the chat needs something, get a hold of My Catcher.
I do all of the intros for Paraflix, all the graphic designs, all the marketing that you see. It's fun.
Nice.
That's awesome.
By the way, I do want to say right now, it's very helpful to us if you share and comment on our videos because that gets us more viewers.
Mm-hmm.
it helps out Mike as well.
So Sean, Athena,
Oh, yeah.
link to you. That'll be interesting to find out because I'm curious to that too.
So, Mike, I've got tons of footage right now I need to go through, and
Let's say you were telling me that.
and I did a intro for our last team that we were on. I just haven't gotten around to doing an intro for this team. I'm not quite sure how I want to do the intro for this. For all of our, episodes and TikTok videos and YouTube
Right.
videos, and so I'm kind of, like, what do they call it? A mental block when you're trying to write a song and you come to a brick wall. You just can't go any further. That's where I'm at with that. I'm like, okay, I don't want to totally copy the other one, but it was really good.
So ideas are welcome, y'all.
I mean, it's sometimes you have to.
Got
I do that constantly. I'll have like a mental block because I'll design quite a bit for Paraflix, and there's actually been quite a few times where I've designed so much for Paraflix that I just had a brain fart. I'm like, I can't think of anything creepy to make right now. I can't think of anything paranormal wise to design, and I've had people randomly hit me up and say, "Hey, can you design this for me?" And I'll just do it for free, just to get my brain rolling again. I'm just like,
Right.
perfect. I need this right now. Something fresh, something different. So I get it. So.
Yeah, and I've really been sidetracked with work. I'm a safety manager, and we have a corporate audit coming up, and it's just, I went to work this morning at 6 and got off at 6:30 tonight. So, it's just putting hellacious hours in. I really don't, when I get home, I just don't have the energy to even mess with the videos, It's just, let alone I want to come down here and write music too. So it's,
Right.
and I'm like, I just don't have it, I'm worn out. So I'm pretty sure that just like when all my songs come into my head, and it's really weird how it happens. I'll be laying in bed, sound asleep, and all of a sudden I'll sit up, just like the Undertaker on the WWE. I just sit straight up and I got a whole song in my head, music, lyrics, everything. And I'll come down here and I'll do everything except the lyrics, but I'll write the words down on a tablet because I don't want to sing and wake everybody up. But everything else I do on Pro Tools, and I can record everything digital just over the headphones. So, and then when I'm done with that, go back to bed.
I've been there too.
Yep. And when I'm done,
do your eyes roll back too?
No. But like the next day, I'll come down and I'll be like, man, what was that song I wrote? And I'll play it back, Now, when I hear the song, I'm like, oh yeah. And I'll shut it off. I go, thank you, God.
There's times I'll do that and I'll listen back and be like, wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's happened too.
I've done that.
And what I really hate is when you get a song you like, but you keep in your head, you keep hearing like, oh wait, what if I add a maraca in here? I had a, this or that in there. And pretty soon you add so much stuff, it's just jumbled.
It gets
Yeah, it's just jumbled. So you got to start pulling stuff out. Yeah.
Always got to remember Kiss.
So you have a room, for everyone that doesn't know, that you're in right now, and there is haunted objects that you have obtained. What was one of the first ones that you got?
Oh, one of the first ones that I got. If anybody picks up on anything in this room as well, please feel free to tell me.
So there's like a streak right down the middle of the chair that's
like a
next
line.
to you.
The blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's
line.
from the light.
Right.
There's a light behind my computer.
Okay.
I think it's from that.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because I have quite a few things out here. I don't know the full story or the true stories behind all of them. So, yeah, one of the first things I got was actually a scrying mirror. I went all out and just said, I'll just get a haunted scrying mirror. Why not?
What could go wrong?
That's awesome. How'd you obtain it? Like, how'd you find out that it was like haunted or whatnot?
There's a local guy, actually not far from me. I went to school with his cousin, actually. He owns, it's called Dark Scries. And he makes, I actually have 3 of his mirrors. He makes them. The one that I have is actually Native American attachment to it. The other one was his grandma's serving tray that she owned for 60 years. Yeah, so I have those 2.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
If I had batteries in Julian, I'd show them to you.
So I just bought a whole bunch of winemaking stuff that the person passed away in September of cancer, and he is attached to it.
Was it? You said it was a what?
It was winemaking equipment.
I wonder if that's something he did.
He did. That was his hobby. He had done it for years.
That's awesome you say that, because this area, the guy that built this house is still here, and he built this area because he owned a woodworking company. He built cabinets, and this is where he would work. And there have been actually quite a few times where I'll come out here. Like, I did all the work out here myself. I did all the painting and fixed it up. So I know if I cut, like, this is also my tool area. On the other side is like my workbench. So I know if I cut like a piece of wood, like, I'll clean it up. There have been plenty of times I'll come out here after not working in the area for like a month or 2 and just find sawdust on the floor, just in random spots. Like, sometimes it'll be over in this area and I don't do any work over here. No, my tools don't go to this side. So I'll find like just sawdust.
Interesting.
They love doing what they did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3 that I know of, 6 spirits out here that I know of.
And you've done.
I don't even want to say how many are at my house.
Yeah. And you've done
One's a little
lives
vulgar,
before
too.
in your room, haven't you, Mike? I think I watched a live one night.
I did run a live one night. I didn't have anything fancy. It was just, can you hear any voices or see things move or things like that? Because I'll run these microphones are pretty loud. Like they can,
Mhm.
if I turn the volume all the way up, you'll hear me fart. So I'll run.
We need not to have that when Barb's around.
I have one here, and then I actually have one on my actual desk. So there's nights I'll run them both at the same time on two opposite sides of the room, run them both through Audacity, and just I'll get voices. Sometimes it sounds like they're talking to each other or arguing. Emily, she's one of the most active. I'll get her laughing, singing, humming. It's
Okay, somebody just asked if the spirits can see colors. They're just like you and I. They are just without their bodies. So yes,
I would have to say yes to that, Eric, because every time I use my REM pod like that, I'll say I'm going to ask you some questions, and blue light for yes and green light for no. And normally we get very intelligent answers using the REM pod that way. So I would have to say I would believe that spirits can see colors. Yes.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, since they're just like you and I.
You seem to you're Tammy, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I can't see the words.
That's okay.
So you seem to have the same, kind of belief as I do as your soul travels. So we currently live in the third dimension.
Yes. Well, we're kind of in between right now.
Yeah, in between 3 and 5. We're getting there. So do you believe in what's called a spiritual hangout?
Yeah.
Which would be after you pass on, your soul just hangs out until it's ready to move on.
So that would explain what the Catholics believe is being in what is it called?
Limbo?
Mark. Yeah,
Like limbo.
Yeah.
See,
but I also feel like even, if you want to believe in the Bible and anything like that, it talks about that Jesus comes back to bring the living and the dead to heaven, which means that we don't go right away.
No. I don't know much about the Bible. I am.
The shaman yesterday said that you have choices. You can go to the void.
You can hang out.
You can remain here, or you can go to Mother Earth. And that was the three choices that he kind of gave the shaman last night.
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe that we can hang out here as long as we want.
I just had something hit my foot, and it wasn't the cat.
Oh, I missed it.
But I also feel like, that between the third and the fifth dimension, we're kind of all somewhere in between there. And I mean, I think that's part of where the spiritual world comes from too.
I think that's part of getting to that fifth dimension.
Yeah.
Is understanding that shadow work, is
and
understanding.
We're all fluid.
Right.
So since you guys are talking about the dimensions, some people might not know all about the dimensions and stuff. Do you guys want to talk about that and kind of explain it to people?
Scientists don't even know what all the dimensions are.
But if you look up
what they confirm 11
physics, quantum physics, they can't disprove any of it.
They can't. I think they only confirmed about 11.
Yeah.
There's theories that your dimensions you want to think about. Think of a cube. If you draw it on a piece of paper, that's your first dimension. You add a few parallel lines, that's your second dimension. And then you add all the intersecting lines and those vertices.
To make it 3D.
You get your 3D cube, which is where we are. And then inside that cube, you throw in another 3D cube, you get your fourth dimension. Throw in another 3D cube, you get your fifth. It's all just lines that intersect and connect, is really all that is.
Yeah.
So
the quantum physics, it's all, and
some you can
call it scientific, you can call it spiritual, but
right.
in the scientific world,
some of them can actually control time. You can go back and change time, and time travel.
Well, actually, technically, there is no time. I mean,
Mhm.
that's something that humans have created.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow is all really happening all at the same time, and that's
It really is.
very weird to try and understand, but it is. That's why we can change things that are happening now. We can change our future, even if we feel like it's been proven that this is going to happen. We can change all of that. That's in our power.
So going back to the intersecting lines and stuff, that kind of is like ley lines if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to remember what hit my foot.
Yes, the tetrahedron.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Because that's what you guys were told to envision yourself in at the investigation yesterday, right, Mark?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
And it's interesting because I feel like over the next several years, we're all going to realize that we have way more control over our environment than we know.
I think some people are really starting to actually realize that finally.
Mm-hmm. And the collective,
Mhm.
thoughts and everything. It's way more than we could even imagine. Even those that believe in it, it's more than we can imagine.
Right.
So, Mike, you were talking about how you like to do residential cases. Do you still get calls for residential cases?
No. Honestly, I try to stay away from them now.
Okay.
I mean, I do like doing them. I will do them if somebody is in dire need. But for me, it's the best way to put it is it's so, well, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say accepted. It's so just everybody knows about it now. I can't think of the word, but
it's becoming more
common.
mainstream.
It's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming common to where I feel like there are people out there that just want a dog and pony show. And I've actually had somebody call me crying on the phone to come investigate. And it was a joke, so I've come across a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't really do residentials anymore unless I have to.
Yep, we came across one of those kind of scenarios for an investigation with this one guy. Mark knows more about it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, he called us, and we actually went to his house twice, Mike, and we were getting nothing on anything. I mean, REM pods weren't going off, no EVPs. We weren't getting anything on anything. And he goes, well, I can see it standing right next to you. It's right there, And he was telling us that these entities were telling him to kill his parents and to do other things. And eventually one day he wrote to me and he says, can you come over today? Because I'm having the police come over. And I said, why are you having the police come over? He goes, because these things are really trying to get me to hurt my parents. And the police did show up. We didn't go over. But the police did take him. And he has now been in a mental ward in a hospital for about 6 months now, and he's doing fine. So a lot of what he was seeing was imagination.
Yeah, it was in his head.
Which can happen.
Yeah, he was hallucinating. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I believe that can happen. But, I'm on that hard line of I do believe that there are people that actually see things that are over-medicated and not believed.
Sure, definitely.
There are cases, even felons and inmates that say the devil made them do it. Who's to say they aren't right?
But the thing is, that's why we went there twice, Mike, is because we try to rule everything out.
Right.
Before. So we went there, and neither time we got nothing. I mean, it was just there was no evidence at all.
Right. They're that we actually I did a residential not too long ago. And I won't talk too much about it because it's pretty personal and to the family. They're probably not watching, but just in case they do, it was a best way to put it. Person passed away. They don't believe the story was correct.
That usually is how it goes.
Right. So we were called in because it was a duplex apartment, and the owner couldn't get tenants to stay longer than 6 months. One of the tenants, I guess, actually had such profound experiences in this location that he actually ended up moving out and getting therapy.
Wow.
So we went and we did our investigation. We kind of, I myself, I'm not an electronics user. I don't use REM pods, Mo meters, K2s. I don't use anything. I go opened up, I go spiritually. And I knew there was a portal in the location. I was able to pinpoint exactly where it was. So we had gotten that closed for him. Now, there are some things that I am skipping out of the story just because of what the story was about.
Privacy.
But we had gone and we did our investigation the first night. And the second day I woke up and I was like, we don't need to be here. I was like, we do not need to be here. Because I walked outside in the morning and I was drinking my coffee, smoking a cigarette, and I looked at my surroundings. I looked around me and I went inside. I looked out the front door. I noticed all the windows were closed. All the blinds were shut. And I looked at the two members that went with me, drove from upstate New York to do this with me. And I look at them. I'm like, we don't need to be here. They didn't understand why at first, and I explained it to them. The duplex that the house was sitting is in the ghetto. Very, very bad neighborhood. Very bad. So you come home from work in a bad neighborhood, you keep your blinds closed, you lock your doors, you're inside, you want to go outside and drink your coffee on the porch, but every house on the block is either boarded up or run down. What's that doing? So I told the owner, I'm like, this is all a psychological house. This is all psychological. You do have a portal open.
And they can bring negative entities by just their negative.
Right. And that's what I told him.
Actions.
So what I did is I had everybody come in for this. I did my portal closing ritual. I did my prayers. I did a prayer of deliverance on the house. And I'm not religious, but I do know that when you do prayers of deliverances and you do things at residentials, you have to abide by their religion, not yours. Your religion is not, you can't go to
relevant.
Right. You can't go to a Hindu who wants an exorcism and read from the Bible or read from what it is not their religion.
Right.
So I did the prayers of deliverance. I did all that on the house. And as I'm doing this, I actually made the owner open the windows.
Yes.
And I'm like, look, you're letting all this light in. Just as you're letting light in, just inhale, exhale, and, just breathe out. And at the end of it, the tenant who ended up going to therapy came up to me, gave me a hug and said that was the greatest thing that ever happened. He really felt like that eased a lot. And even the owner messages me. He goes, this place is quieter than it's ever been. He goes, you guys did great. And I'm like, this is all you needed to see was the psychological aspect of what's actually happening.
Yep.
That's amazing, Mike. It's such a good feeling.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, that's the thing. If somebody having a psychological thing, like they're afraid that something's happening, they can create that
Right.
in their own minds, which can make it real.
Yeah, especially when you live in a bad neighborhood. You know, you come home from work, it's dark out. First thing you do, close your blinds, lock your doors, sit in the dark because you don't want people to know you're home.
Yeah, well,
So
and that's why walking in when we go on a, you know, when we have a guest or something that is immediately saying, "Oh, there's something negative." Well, you're bringing the negative in when you do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that. You can't walk into a house and say, "I feel a negative entity," because you're going to invite it in.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel it,
Barb has said 3 times that she loves your dolls.
My dolls?
Yeah.
This is my baby right there. That's Emily. She's got a whole story on her own.
I think Barb now has 20 or 30 dolls now. She's got quite the collection.
Oh,
Believe it or not, I used to hate dolls. Used to hate them.
We did go to a place last fall. It was out in the country. You remember that when we went and the police report said that it was he lost control of his motorcycle and he got in a, you know, drove off the road and ended up dying. And we went out there and had my spirit box going, and his mom was there, and his voice came across the spirit box, and she goes, "Oh my God, that's my son." And it said, "Hi, Mom."
Wow.
And she says,
Steve Morris a couple weeks ago.
"Son, did you have an accident? Did that happen?" And he come across and goes, "No." And she says, "What happened?" And it said his girlfriend's name. And then it said, "Drove me off the road."
Wow.
So she says, "I knew she killed him. I knew she did. I knew it all along, but now he just confirmed it with me." And I'm like going, wow, this is heavy. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, what do you say? There's nothing I can say. I'm holding this spirit box and it's still going off, you know? And
those are insane experiences.
Oh yeah. There's times when we have investigations that get so emotional.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and you have to try to maintain your composure and be professional. But there's been a couple times when, you know, I had to literally just walk out. I just turn around and I'm like, wait, I need a breath of air, you know? And I mean, I was an EMT when I was younger. I seen lots of things, but we'll get it. You know, that's a whole different conversation there, because I've actually came up on the scene with an ambulance. You know, I was the driver of the ambulance. We pull up on the scene. Literally, I could swear to God, I saw somebody's spirit walking up the hill into the timber.
So somebody just asked how you would know that there are spirits in your home.
Are there any particular signs?
Yeah, I mean, you would. Hi, Victor. Yeah, you would feel. I mean, sometimes it's a cold spot in the house. Sometimes you hear things and see things,
or feelings of being watched.
Yeah.
That's number one for me. I always feel watched here.
Or
no matter where I'm at.
Or you'll be in bed and you hear footsteps and you know that there's nobody up walking around.
Even the change in energy. Even just a random energy change in the room can do it.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a home and if you like move to a new home and there's a lot of anger, you know that there's something not right there.
What were you going to say, Mike?
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of energy, there are times like, even though I know the spirits out here and they're not harmful, I do believe their moods can change.
Oh, yeah.
There are days I'll be sitting at the computer for like 2 hours doing work and then just get the instant feeling they don't want me out here. So I'll get up and I'll leave because this is their room.
Yeah, they get grumpy just like we do.
My office is in their room. I built this for them. So I'm invading their space when I'm out here.
And you know what really, I mean, like I've been to a couple of places when we walked in and you could tell just by the way the spirits were responding to us that they were, you know, as you would say, have an attitude.
Edgy.
And
I got cussed out.
I mean,
Mark does every time he comes to my house.
What?
Get cussed out.
Oh, and water thrown on me. Yeah. And, you know, and then you talk to the owners of the house and they're like, oh yeah, we just walked around the house the other night with sage and, you know, burned sage throughout the house. And I'm like, well, if you don't do that properly,
you're going to tick them off.
You're ticking these spirits off, man. Yeah.
No,
So,
I don't burn sage too frequently.
No.
I'll do Palo Santo once in a while just to relax and breathe, but I don't do sage too often.
Victor, Barb's in the chat. Her Wi-Fi is acting up tonight and won't let her come in.
I love sage. Going back to sage, I love white sage, and I love all my crystals. I got my like little altar.
Barb says I got hit on by a naked dead man.
I'm jealous.
Well, he used to mow his lawn naked. So
yeah. Okay, so he made international news. He was on BBC when he died.
That's my spirit animal.
So his last wish, because he was a nudist and he was arrested in Pekin, Illinois, like 36 times or something like that.
Yeah.
When he died, he wanted to be buried nude, and his brother did not honor his wish.
Oh,
he's mad. He is angry.
He's calm now, and he actually told us yesterday. He told us yesterday that he will stay in the yard.
He likes the yard. That's his favorite place.
But he wants a memorial of some sort.
Somebody said TMI.
So what we agreed with him on.
He wore a hat. He did wear a hat.
What we agreed with him on is if they go and buy a cheap little water fountain and stick it out there as a memorial to him, he'll be happy with that.
With the naked statue figure on it.
That would be nice. I bet he'd like that. Yeah, actually.
It's weird his last name was Norton.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the city I live in.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying
you can look up, all you have to do is look up Robert Norton naked, and you will find all kinds of articles on it.
Yeah.
I am afraid to look that up. Are there pictures?
There are no pictures. But yeah, the thing was he wore shoes and a hat, and that was it.
Well, then he technically wasn't naked.
He's like in his 70s.
But we were a little concerned with the handprint in the children's bedroom coming back.
Six fingers.
Well, it was just like trying to crawl. You know, we think that's where she was first. Stephanie was first kind of taken hold of, if you will, or perhaps that's the room that she was raped in and then taken to the basement and killed.
The lawnmower guy, Robert Norton, wasn't the original owner of the house.
Yeah. So he told us on the spirit box he feels bad because he did not kill her, but he knows who did.
Yeah.
It's sad we can't use these.
So Stephanie was raped and killed decades ago in the basement of this house, and then after they killed her 3-year-old baby.
Wow.
We were able to help them cross over.
We actually helped them cross over. It was pretty, dude. Going off. Everything's going off. K2s are pegging out, and you know we're saying a prayer, and we're like, you know, Stephanie, do you see the light? And it came on the Ovilus app and said yes, and we says go into the light, go now, cross over, and then everything went dead at the same time. It's all on video.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they crossed over.
That was a pretty powerful investigation.
Yeah.
You guys should submit some clips to Paraflix.
We have, and they've all been rejected.
Oh.
So I
don't control that.
This one we need to do though. This one wasn't.
No, I need to talk to Mike in a private meeting sometime about what they look for.
Mm-hmm.
So because back then we didn't have the lavalier mics that we have now. So I mean,
we didn't have the 4K cameras even.
Voices were kind of in the background. We had regular HD cams. We didn't have 4K cams. Now we've got lavalier mics, 4K cams. We got lots of different lights, phasm lights, all kinds of good stuff going on. So sometime, Mike, I'll hook up with you and we'll talk about what needs to be, how things need to be organized, maybe, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I'm always down to help people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we're trying to up our game so we can do that kind of stuff.
And I know that all of our viewers and all of our fans, man, they're just sharing and caring and everything, trying to do everything they can to help us out.
Well, that's
by the way, share this video.
That's why that's what Paraflix is for. There's so many teams out there that are so good at what they do. One's different than the next in a different way. So, Paraflix was, not everybody's going to be on Discovery Channel. Not everybody's going to be on Discovery Plus or be the next Ghost Adventures or be on A&E. So we wanted a platform that we could give those teams.
Yeah.
So and it's constantly growing.
And that's amazing. It really is that Paraflix was founded.
Yep. Natalie's such a hard worker. I can't give her enough credit. She works so hard.
Yeah, I've talked to her on the phone probably about 4 different times, and she just seems like a really nice gal. You know what I mean?
Oh, she is.
And she just tells me to keep submitting. Keep putting stuff in here, and just and I finally asked her. I said, but the thing is, we keep submitting, I guess, the stuff with the same stuff that's wrong. So can you have your producers or somebody, give us some critique on what we need to improve? Otherwise we don't know what to improve. And that's when we had to get the lavalier mics, because they said the sound, they couldn't hardly hear our voices. So we got the lavalier mics, and then we got the 4K cameras, because she kind of gave me a heads up back months ago that 4K was going to have to be a must.
We've got those now.
Yep.
So did you see the question that just came up? How can a spirit physically scratch or hurt a live person? I seen this investigation you did when the homeowner was scratched.
Well, I've got 3 scratches on my hand. Yeah, I think they're talking about.
I still have the one here. You can't really see it.
I think they're talking about Joe, over at Joe and Robin's house. I've seen people get scratched. That was a serious scratch.
It was huge, and there's no way he could have made those marks because they were so far distance.
Yeah.
It was like one here.
No,
they feed off of energy, off of electronic energy, a lot off of any energy that they can harness, they take that and they use that as to.
If you think about it, Tammy, just prior to that happening, we ran Sparky for about 5 minutes.
Right. Electronic energy
that room was
big.
full of static electricity.
That's why you'll see a lot of investigations where people's batteries are running out, their equipment's not running correctly. Mm-hmm.
So
they need lots of energy.
Mike, I've actually got a Tesla tower, and we take it into rooms that have been active, and we'll plug it in, let it just spark off for about 5 minutes, and put that static out there, and we find that we get lots of activity, because
I've been wanting to make one.
Yeah, I had somebody make mine, and lo and behold,
we got to figure out how to make those and sell them.
They're not easy to make.
They're not.
I bet no.
But I mean, he actually put a Bluetooth feature into it where when you flip it on standby, if you have your phone on a Ovilus app or whatever, it will come across and spark, and you'll hear the voices. Oh, that's cool. We get lots of people asking, get Sparky out, get Sparky out. And we're still doing we have our format we go through. We're still doing EVPs, and they're like, get Sparky out. And we're like, in a little bit.
We've had people that have been watching us, fans that have been watching us, and they're loved ones have come across, and you can hear their voices. You can hear the voices.
There's a lady in Canada, and her grandma came on, and she told her, she goes, I love you, I miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Those are
and so did Scott Morris, who his brother was on, and said, "Yeah, that's my brother's voice."
Yep.
So, what kind of do you have any like history of like some kind of like messed up stories, possibly like and spirits, like ghost hauntings and stuff? Like we have one in Cambridge, Illinois. It actually happened. It's in an article and stuff. There's a woman called Julia Markham back in 1905, September 5th, 1905. She had 7 children. She lived out on this farm in Cambridge, Illinois, on a curve. They call Death Curve now. And all there stands is a tree. And she was mentally ill. And all the kids would stay home from school. Her oldest would help take care of the youngest and stuff. Well, one day her husband was away at a nearby farm, and she sent the oldest two to go to the nearby creek and go get water. And while they were doing that, she took out an axe, and she axe murdered all the other children. And then when the oldest two came, she did the same. And then she took kerosene lamp and covered the house in the oil. And she tried slitting her throat with a dull knife, but was unsuccessful, lit the house on fire. She kind of passed out and ended up crawling out because her fight or flight kicked in. And she ended up dying eventually. Her husband actually ended up committing suicide after all that as well. He went and sit on a chair. He hung a noose around his neck, shot himself in the head, and the chair would kick out and he would hang himself, and he was shot in the head. So
that was a local story to your city.
Yeah. It was a pretty brutal, and we went out there and we've investigated, and we're going to try and help these kids cross over, because the mother actually will not let them cross over, because she had wrote a note saying that why she did what she did was, and then she said, if nobody can have them but me, pretty much, and they all belong with God along with me, and she's holding them back. The kids are scared, and so we're going to try and get a GoFundMe account or something up, because we feel like if we can get their own little separate headstone, because they're all buried in one unmarked grave next to the mother.
All 7 children in one grave.
I feel like if we got them a headstone with their names on it to commemorate them, then we could possibly help them cross over, give them an identity. And we might even have to do that for the mother, because she's not going to let them go.
Right.
Try to help her forgive what she did and to move on. So do you have anything like that you've been to in your area? Or
no cool stories in this area? All we have is a crybaby bridge.
Yeah.
But how many cities and states have that?
Oh yeah.
We have 2 of them here.
Yeah, they're all, I don't believe any of them. I do believe the one in Massachusetts, though. That's the one I do believe. But all the other ones are Jew. They're fake.
Yeah.
It's the same story in every city.
Yeah.
And that story didn't get popular until the 90s when the internet got big. So,
Right.
But no, I mean, this town itself has quite a bit of history. The bubonic plague was hit pretty hard out here. Other than that, there's no huge stories really.
You're right, Victor. Victor says if a spirit can talk to you, they can also swear you on bad things coming your way, or they can help prevent horrible things from happening.
Yep, they can be your spirit guides that are helping you.
Yep, that's
protecting you.
Your little
Emily. Emily's my little CIA agent. That's what I call
Nice.
her. She'll go to locations before I do, and she'll come back and tell me stuff.
Yeah.
No, yeah. There's been a few locations she's gone to. I've actually spiritually had to bring her home because there were spirits. Madison Seminary for one. I had a spirit there, wouldn't let her come back. And Monroe House in Hartford City, another spirit there wouldn't let her come back.
So she travels.
She'll travel with me and for
spiritually
me.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Mike, Victor Santiago says some investigators have said some spirits don't cross over because they have some unfinished business here. If that's true, then why are there still spirits here from the 1800s? And they had all this time to handle their business and cross over. Why did they decide to still stay here?
I see that those are hard questions to answer because those are things that we're never gonna find out. But to me, it kind of goes back to the constant traveling of our souls.
Yes.
You know, our souls and our energy. Like right now, mine's probably not even on this dimension. So it could be just passing through. Their fourth dimension could have been at one time a third dimension. You know, we don't understand how these work. So that energy that we're seeing or we're communicating with is just one different energy on a different dimension.
And I feel like maybe it's because they don't have enough energy to do what they need to do to finish their business to be able to cross over. Hey,
Sometimes they're just stuck.
Tammy, did you have something lit, like smoking or anything? Because I just saw, I don't know if anyone else saw
I was going to say something.
A white mist go up like across your screen right here, like on that side.
Can you tell me what you felt?
I'm so used to them being around, you know, that it doesn't faze me.
What was it you felt? Could you sense what it was? Okay.
No, for real. My thing is, there are 18 souls that surround me.
See,
that's not including the ones attached to my house.
Barb says that was Archangel Michael.
Yeah, Michael follows me around everywhere. He's my protector.
I have a close relationship with him as well.
I have Metatron.
But Michael went and talked to Mark at one point.
Yes.
So I think I just found out recently mine's Elijah. Nice. And I was Elisha, I guess, his apprentice in one of my lives.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
So,
but yeah, they just kind of surround me, and you'll see them every once in a while. Like I said earlier, I do have one that will cuss everybody around me out.
I think we all have one of those.
He's a protector, but he will cuss everybody out. He has called Mark an asshole, and Barb tried to get him to say it again, and it said, "You're the bitch" to Barb.
I went in and I was going to wash my hands in Tammy's bathroom one time, and she got the kind of faucet you just lift up, and I picked it up and nothing came out. I put it down, I lifted it back up, nothing came out, and I turned it down. I says, "Are you playing games with me?" And I turned it back up and it went boof. It just shot out. It just soaked me. And I'm like, thanks.
There's nothing negative here. It's just there's a lot of positive energy that
they're jokers. They like to pull pranks and
they are. And my grandpa my family is Cherokee. And my grandpa, he's just like the silent one, but he lets himself known every once in a while. But then there's also a spirit. There's somebody died in the house here before we moved here. And I know the niece, and he has talked about all of his grandchildren or all of his nieces and nephews and children and everything. And we didn't even know the names. I just knew his niece.
Didn't he have a heart attack or something? Is that how he died?
He had some kind of cancer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Barb
He's
says,
actually, he just kind of sits at our table and drinks coffee. That's what he does.
Barb says, I truly believe God put our team together because we get along so well.
Mhm.
You know why, Barbara? Because in the musical world, we are family. I've got all my sisters with me.
Literally.
Literally. I made Mike smile.
So Barb and I have shared grandchildren.
Yes.
My daughter is married to her son.
All right.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting.
I'm just the
Yeah.
outsider. I just came along
And
for the ride.
here's a very interesting thing. Both of them have a birthmark on their third eye.
Wow.
Hmm.
So that's not something you see often.
No,
Uh-huh.
and actually, her other grandchild does too. So.
You reading that, Alicia?
What?
MJC Paranormal says, Alicia, Elijah is a very powerful angel. I love the Bible story of Elijah.
Yes.
He was the one that actually shared a video with me about the two witnesses, and then that's where it clicked at for me.
So Victor's saying, but ain't they supposed to go to heaven when they cross over, or is there a heaven? Because there's so many spirits still here and none have crossed over to heaven. Why stay here when the plan is to go to heaven and not stay here?
I think it's one of those dimensional things.
Yes.
I think it's all dimensional, Victor.
I mean, these are all just theories and beliefs. That's why I mentioned, spiritual hangout earlier. Is when you pass away, it's not necessarily limbo or lingo or purgatory. It's you sit there until your judgment comes. You're gonna get judged. Did you follow your life path?
Right.
Were you this? Were you that?
Well, and people when they think judgment, they think of hell and everything. But what if it's
more like
just that we have to come back here over
Right.
and over again until we get it right?
Right, and then that's what it is. It's you sit down with your guardians and your angels and your spirit guides, and they tell you this is what your life was meant to be, and this is what you didn't do. This is what you did do to get there. So I thoroughly believe this is all some sort of dimensional,
Victor's cracking me up. Barb's like, there's a heaven, they are confused. And he goes, I'm confused. I can just hear him saying it in his voice.
Well, I'm confused too. I'm not religious.
The spirits they can be confused. A lot of them don't know they've died.
Nope. That's where you get your residuals.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything you want to promote or throw out there before we wrap it up? And we really thank you so much for coming on.
Oh,
You're
absolutely.
amazing.
I'm honored. I love being on shows. What do I got going on? My podcast, I've been pronouncing it wrong. I love trying to learn a new language and pronouncing my own podcast name wrong. It's called Manifestat in Iotius. It is Latin. It does mean revealing the unknown. It's going to be released on Paraflix here soon. I haven't set a release date yet. First episode is a good friend of mine, Robin Ramsey from she's the she's an author. We'll just go with author. I don't know what her title is anymore.
Awesome.
And then my second episode, which is currently being edited, is with Jenna Perry from the Crossover Discoveries. You can see their episode. It's on Paraflix as well. Other than that, nope, I'm ready to play softball.
I just popped your name up there for everybody to
Awesome.
go
Yes,
back.
you can find it on Paraflix. If you guys don't have Paraflix, you can always subscribe. It's paraflix.com. Use code Mike10. That'll get you 10% off the first 3 months of an annual subscription. That's really all I got. That's all I have. I can't talk about other things I have, but
It's a secret.
I'm excited for him to come out.
So, Mike, I will let you know that our group has been picked to be in a movie this late spring and early summer.
It's
Nice.
a secret. No, I'm just kidding.
All about it, but
There are secrets about it.
we are going to film it at the Oregon State Hospital where One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was filmed.
Okay.
It's supposed to be one of the most haunted hospitals in America. So while they're filming, we may get some live action that's not on the script, So
Use it.
Huh?
Use it if you're allowed to use it.
That's and Victor Santiago, who's on here, he's going to be in the movie, and we got to get him to come in there so them spirits can mess with him a little bit. But
I love getting new people in there.
Oh yeah. And Victor's, he's talking about going to heaven, and if you ever met Victor, he's a really big guy. He's like WWE big, right? Even when his spirit goes to the gates, Michael's going to say, "Hold on, big guy. It's going to be at least a week or two if we can widen these gates wide enough for you to get in."
Don't hit us. Don't hit us.
I'll say definitely next weekend, keep an eye out. I don't know what the plan is, but myself, Natalie Jones, Dan Class, the owner of Hinsdale House, and Jenna Perry, we're all going to be at Mansfield Reformatory next Saturday for an event. So
Nice.
we might be doing some lives if you guys tune in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes we get out there on the East Coast, maybe we can hook up with you and you're in
He's
Illinois?
in Ohio.
Illinois. Oh, he's in Ohio?
Yeah.
You're not that far.
Oh, yeah, you ain't that far away.
No, I'll drive 14 hours.
I've been to Cincinnati with my safety company. I did a lockout project for the sewer, for the city sewer.
I try to stay away from Cincinnati.
But we went, it was really cool because we went, down these long flight of stairs going down. And then there was this room that was all like those beige colored tiles, all over the place. And they had like plexiglass. And it was sealed up and they had autographs. And I'm like, what happened down here? He goes, oh, this is where they filmed a portion of the Avengers. And this is all the autographs from the actors that were here. There was Captain America and all this other stuff.
It didn't stink.
No, we didn't get to that part yet. When you got down by the pump rooms, it got pretty bad. But that was pretty cool. We went down there and you got to see all the autographs and stuff, and they've got them all put in there airtight, so they're going to be there for a long, long, long time.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty cool. But so Mike, has there ever been a place you went to and you were in there for a while, and then all of a sudden you're like, I got to get the hell out of here?
Oh, off the top of my head, probably Monroe House.
Monroe House?
Hartford City, Indiana, the upstairs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been there.
No.
Not yet.
There's children up there, but there are people that, I'm one of them. I believe there is a trickster up there that makes you believe they are children. And I'm a protector of children in this field, so I'm easy to latch onto. So my number one rule is I will not go upstairs of the Monroe House by myself.
Right.
To the point, if I got to go to the bathroom, I will go to the gas station. I will not use the bathroom there because I don't trust them.
Right.
But that's really the only place I've been that I'm like, I gotta, take a break.
So I know a few teams that, I'm trying to remember the name of it. They went there. Zach Bagans went in the pit and got possessed.
Bob Mackey's.
Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah, Bobby Mackey. And they said, we didn't even go close to the pit. And they said, well, we're never going back there.
I've never been there, but I've heard different accounts. I've heard people say it's not as bad as they say. It's, then I've heard people that say that it is. But I'm one of those that I feel if you go in with an open mind, you'll be able to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say, Mike. Do you think some people go in there with,
because Zach says it's demonic.
Yeah, they're anticipating it to be just
Right.
super horrid,
Yep, they're anticipating it, and that's what you're manifesting, so that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I've been to Edinburgh Manor, and they had an episode where they went there as well, and it was nowhere near like what they talked about with the crawler in the basement.
I've read many articles about some shows, and even the one article I read refused to name the show, but they were talking about how a paranormal team went in and filmed, didn't mention the show, didn't mention the name or what network it was on, but they were talking about how this team brought production in and actually destroyed an entire hallway.
Oh,
They
wow.
came in, they filled it with dirt, they filled it with gravel, they made it look that way, but the hallway's actually not like that. They're like, they made it this way for production.
That is
So,
wrong.
And it's disrespectful.
I don't get into a lot of the TV shows. Like,
if you can't do it like on the real, do it as it is, make it real. Don't.
I got into this loving Ghost Adventures. I watched all of them up until Nick left. But I still, I kept an open mind. I also, I read a lot of people talk about how much they hate Ghost Adventures. They don't like Zach. But I tell everybody, let's be honest, you can hate Zach all you want, but if it wasn't for him, 90% of us would not be in this field.
Yeah.
He's also got a show to sell. So that's, even myself on the other side now doing film for my, my team, like I know I got a show to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So if Travel Channel came to me and said you get $30,000 to push your teammate in a well and pretend it's haunted, yeah, I'm gonna do just that for $30,000.
See, I got into it. Well, I mean, I had kind of my own experience, but Ghost Hunters is where I started out. Taps. My dad, he had thrown it up on TV, and I got hooked. And I was preteen, adolescent then, and I didn't know anything about that stuff. Just kind of what I was feeling, and yeah,
You're a youngin'.
Yes, it was something I followed myself. I didn't grow up religious. We went to a Methodist church for a couple of years, but my grandparents were Catholic. I actually ended up finding out that my great grandfather, whom I'm named after, actually opened a Roman Catholic church in a city not very far from here. So, and it was just interesting to find out a lot of your past. So I don't know. I think that's why I started following demonology and other things, is knowing that my great grandfather opened a Roman Catholic church, and that's where you get exorcists and demonologists.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I started following it and understanding it a little bit more.
That's awesome. And it's always good to have that kind of knowledge too, because you never know when it might be needed.
So what is your opinion, Mike, on people using Ouija boards?
Same as everything else. I mean, my personal honest opinion on everything is Hollywood ruined it.
Yeah.
Hollywood ruined, it's Ouija boards. To me, they're a prop. I've used one twice just recently. I'll sit out here with all three of mine and I'll never get anything. So why do they only work when there's two people on there?
Not necessarily.
I've never had one work for me.
I have.
And then the number 3, like the Mock of the Trinity is how that became popular. 3 knocks, three scratches. Everybody, it's demonic. To me, it's not. I do not think 3 is demonic, because even us that are living, if you go to somebody's house, you knock on somebody's door, how many times do you knock?
Knock.
90% of us, it's 3. So that's just a common number, but Hollywood happened to overdo. Hollywood just sucks.
And
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
opinion on a Ouija board is it's just another form of communication with the spirits.
Right.
However, from my own experiences, I don't use them, but I think they're really cool.
They can create a connection that shouldn't be there with people that are not experienced.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe it's another one of those things that goes back to your spirit guides. Maybe I'm just not ready
Yes.
to do it.
Yep.
3 is an angel number. Yep.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's a good thing to put out there, Barb. Thanks for
Mhm.
commenting that.
You know,
Yep.
there's a lot of things about the paranormal, and not even really paranormal, but demonic symbols that a lot of people don't do their history on, and
they attach it to something that's not
Right.
necessarily there.
right. You know, like the upside down cross is the biggest example of people saying it's satanic when it's really not.
So what
if you
is
really
it?
think about so the cross, if you really think about it, you really think about the cross, the crucifix. If your brother was killed in a car accident, would you wear a car around your neck?
It was Saint Paul. I believe it was Saint Paul. After Jesus, when he died, he did not want a regular up cross, whatever you would call it, a crucifix, because he didn't want to be remembered in the same way as Christ. So he had a cross put on his headstone upside down. That's literally all it is. It's just like turning your flag upside down because you're in distress.
Yeah.
So that's really all it is. Same with the pentagram. You know, the pentagram's just the 5 wounds of Christ. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to take all these symbols and make them something they're not.
Make them satanic when they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving the back history of that, because I'm a big person of research. I love to do my research. I don't like to put, say somebody else is saying this is what this is. Well, I want to know for myself what
But like
it really
I'm not
is.
religious. I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah, same
But I
here.
still wear upside
There's a
down
difference,
crosses.
yeah.
I got a pentagram on my ring. You know, it's I know what they mean. So
Yeah. Well, we are going to wrap it up here. And we thank you so much. Seriously, like, you're amazing and
absolutely.
you have a lot of knowledge. And I know that you have more knowledge that we haven't got to on the show tonight.
Everybody's learning. I'm still learning. Trust me.
We are.
Yeah,
Yep. We're all
exactly.
students.
And that's why we
Spiritual
asked you to come
students.
on, because we learned some new things from you tonight.
And
So
this
thank
is only
you.
that's how I've been doing shadow work for 6 months.
Mhm.
That's how I've gotten it. I feel like I could talk about it all day. So
Mhm.
it's new to me, and I still can explain it. So maybe it was something I studied in my past life. Who knows?
Yeah.
Sure.
You never know.
So once again, guys, go ahead and go check out Mike Hatcher. You can get some designs from Mike Hatcher, or check him out on Manifestat Ignotus. Is that proper? Did I say
I'm
that
still
right?
trying to figure out how to do it. And notice,
And Paraflix.
Share
you
and
can
like
use,
us too.
yes, you can use that code that I posted in the comments too for Paraflix, Mike 10. And once again, thank you so much, Mike. You have a wonderful
Absolutely.
night. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
all right. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Nice to meet
Have a good
you.
one.
All right, guys. Well, that was our guest, Mike Hatcher. He's freaking amazing, guys. And we thank you all for tuning in and sharing out and your support. And make sure that you go do the same for him. Seriously. That's what it's about. Para-unity.
Whoa, that was the same time.
All right, guys. Well, we love you all. Have a wonderful night.
Hugs.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.